Yo, what's up people? In this video, I'm going to tell you about or really my experience with the red pill and how I discovered the red pill and why I eventually came back from the red pill black hole of bitterness and just really like negative feelings and negative behavior. Now, before we get into this, I know it probably pissed off a lot of you red pill adherents. This is not like a dig against you. You can get mad, whatever, I don't fucking care. Like, write your mean comments, I don't give a shit. This is just my experience, and I do see the net effect. I guess the net effect of the red pill is positive, or was positive for me, but that's only because I feel like I've been able to integrate these concepts into my life and come to peace with them without me raging on the internet and completely denying any sort of involvement with women in my life, which seems to be the result of exposure to the red pill concepts or whatever. Okay, so disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. You can fucking hate me if you want, blah blah blah. But here we go. I'm gonna tell my story. You can take it for what it's worth. So that said, this was 2015, no, 2016, I think. I want to say 2016. The end of 2016, I was living in LA. Things were going well, making money, working out, fucking everything's going well. And I went to my cousin's birthday party. And during this time, I was dating. I was fucking hooking up with girls on Tinder, like whatever. I had an active dating life, you could say. Anyway, I went to my cousin's birthday party, right? I'm from LA, all my family's from LA. I had really kind of just moved back not too long before this. And it was nice for me to like hang out with my family again, who I haven't lived in LA for a long time. Anyway, went to my cousin's birthday party and met my cousin's best friend. My cousin was a girl, right? And I don't want to blow her up, but anyway, whatever. Her best friend was fucking smoking hot, like smoking, like really pretty face. Her body was okay, like didn't really work out that much, but she was just one of these like naturally skinny girls with a nice body, like nice ass, like decent sized chest, like beautiful face, like 9 out of 10 face, like gorgeous. Anyway, that is a funny story actually now that I think about it. So anyway, I go to this party and like we're kind of like eyeing each other, and there's another. I'll tell the story briefly. It's kind of drawn out, but anyway, there's another guy there who's like hardcore PUA, right? Like he's doing palm readings, like all this shit. Like you can tell he like watched an RSD video before going out that night. And I was into this stuff at the time too, you know. But anyway, she's kind of just like humoring him. We're still kind of like looking at each other out of the corner of our eye. After the dinner, because it was a dinner first, and then we went upstairs to like the bar or club or whatever. At the club, we finally got a chance to talk, and within like 10 minutes, we're like making out and like all over each other. And things were going well, right? Like it was looking like something good was going to happen. My cousin ends up like freaking out and crying and like causing a scene, being drunk, just like being a complete mess. So cut the night short. She had to attend to my cousin, whatever. Anyway, ended up going on a couple dates with this girl, and the dates basically consisted of me taking her out and paying for drinks, inviting her over. I paid for everything, really. I was just being a gentleman, or so I thought, whatever. I paid for all the drinks, I paid for all the stuff. Things were going well. Didn't actually send it in at any point because she didn't want to have sex on the first date, and like I would kind of toy with her a little bit. Like I would like pretend to like take off her pants, but not actually. I would like pull them down to like the middle of her ass, and like she was ready to go. But I would like, because I was like, all right, she doesn't want me. She wants to wait and be like respectable girl, because I knew her family, or she knew my family, I guess, and they're like family friends for a long time. So she doesn't want to be a complete slut fucking on the first date. Fine. Anyway, long story short, we're hanging out one day. I think we went on 3 dates, and I fucked up for sure. Should have actually had sex with her and like sealed the deal. Didn't do that. And we're like lying in bed, just hanging out, whatever. And she asked me one day, she's like, how tall are you? And I'm like, oh, 6 feet, almost 6'1". She's like, oh, really? Oh, well, I normally date guys who are way taller than that, like 6'6", 6'5". Oh, wow, I didn't realize you were that short. And like 6 foot is not short, right? I don't know. I don't think that's short. That's we call it the manlet cutoff, right? Anyway, I'm unfazed. I know she's trying to like knock me off my game. I recognize this is like a shit test. So I say to her, I'm like unfazed. I saw for what it was, and then a minute or two passes, and I'm like, "How much do you weigh?" And she goes, "I weigh like I think she weighed like 102 pounds." And I go, "Really? Oh, I normally date girls who are under 100 pounds." She's like, "Oh, really?" Like taking me seriously. I thought she could tell it was a joke, right? Like clearly she just said about the height thing. I'm now talking about the weight. Like a minute later, did she not understand I was joking? Maybe. And I was like, yeah, but, you know, don't worry about it. It's cool. Like, I normally date girls who are like 98, 96 pounds. Like, but it's cool. Don't worry about it. I still like you. It's all good. Like, is that not a joke? Like, what sane person would not think that's a joke? Anyway, sends me a text a couple days later, ends up breaking up with me. She's like, hey, I don't think we should talk anymore. I want to see other people. Delete my number. Something like that. And I was hurt at first. I was like, oh my God. Like, it was going so well with this girl. It was going really well. She's Jewish. I'm also Jewish. She's 27. I was like 33 at the time. Good like age difference, good maturity difference. She was fucking smoking hot. Our families knew each other, and it was just like it had potential for this to like turn into my next girlfriend. You know what I mean? Anyway, fucking torpedoed that shit, and I was very hurt at first. And I started looking online. I Googled, because I talked to a friend, we like deconstructed it later, and I told him what happened, because you know how it is, you're like, not heartbroken, but you feel that emotional pain of somebody breaking something off with you, even though we'd only been out a few times. I felt like it was going in a good direction, and I was hurt, you know, when she broke it off. So I'm deconstructing with my friend, and I told him about the message that she sent when she was like, oh, I don't want to see you anymore. And he's like, before I even like answered what my response was, he's like, and you should have written, okay, no problem, see you later. And I was like, fuck, like you're right. I should have just said that. I should have just played it cool, you know. Fucked up, failed the shit test, whatever. She thought I was a little bitch because I wrote her back immediately. I was like, no, please give me another chance. I can change. Blah blah blah. Totally fucking bitched out. Anyway, after that, I started looking online. I was like, I googled how to pass a shit test. I found the Red Pill subreddit, started reading, and I was like, what's this Red Pill stuff, right? And I got sucked into the wormhole, found all the top blogs, Irrational Male, Illimitable Men, what's the other one? Rollo Tomasi. Is that Irrational Male? I think that's Irrational Male. There's another one. There's a bunch of them, whatever. Roosh. I was subscribed. I was on Roosh's fucking email list, like, back when he was, like, one of the P-Way people. Kept getting emails from him, realized that he's like now in the manosphere. Anyway, discovered this whole manosphere thing, and I was like, oh my God, they're right. Like, I read the entire sidebar, right? You go into Reddit, right? You go into the subreddit on TRP, the Red Pill, and they're like, are you new here? Read the sidebar. Like, don't ask your fucking stupid questions, just read the entire sidebar. And I was like, okay, I'll read it, right? Because I already bought in. I was like, because the whole thing about the Red Pill, basically, and I'm simplifying, you know, whatever, but basically says women are biologically programmed to look for a beta male provider who's easily controlled and has access to lots of resources, and to cheat on him when they're ovulating with a guy who's like a genetically superior specimen, as evidenced by either his supreme good looks or his like status in society, right? The example being like a rock star, or like 6'6" Chad, broad shoulders, fucking big muscles, whatever. That's it in a nutshell. And like the whole Red Pill philosophy teaches how to be the type of guy who women will naturally respond to. Basically, how to be the alpha male guy who the girl will want to fuck when she's ovulating, and how to not be the beta male guy who ultimately gets the short end of the stick and gets sucked dry for his resources and ends up, you know, marrying a girl who will ultimately lose attraction for him and just kind of put on this facade of being the happy wife, have sex with him occasionally, keep him placated, but really she's like fucking athletes behind his back. Again, I'm simplifying. It's much more nuanced than that, but that's essentially what it is. So the sidebar of TRP is all of this like aggregated blog information, or information on blogs, of basically these concepts expounded upon in depth. I read hours and hours and hours of this red pill stuff. I was sucked in deep. I like absorbed all of it. I was hooked. I loved it. I liked it. I was like, every time I would reach it, I was like, fuck, this is right. I bookmarked a ton of shit. I read Illimitable's entire blog. I read The Rational Male. I read his entire blog up to like 2017. I was fucking posting on the forums. I was, I didn't know enough to answer questions. I was asking questions. A lot of the like red pill commandments or whatever, like number one is lift weights, right? Get bigger muscles because girls respond to perceived strength. Another one is like, it's like rebranded PUA stuff. It's like, go lift weights, get a fucking haircut, brush your teeth, go buy nice clothes, make some money, stop chasing women, stop being a little bitch around women, be a man, stand up for yourself. It's like a more like hyper masculine form of like pickup, right? Whereas pickup is more like, at least as defined by RSD, which is like the leader in the pickup community currently, which is basically like, go out, be a fun person, be positive, be happy, just be a fun, cool guy that girls like being around. To be fair, a lot of those RSD guys, they believe the red pill stuff because they, take it for what it's worth. They see firsthand that girls will cheat on their boyfriends. Girls will go for, they go out a lot, spend a lot of time around women and see females' true nature. Sorry, ladies, but like women are attracted to power, to strength, to attractiveness, to status, and to just being like a cool social person. Anyway, this like affected my dating life quite strongly, right? Like basically after this, before I was on Tinder, I was on OkCupid, I was like meeting girls out, sometimes at the gym, sometimes at the grocery store. This like put pretty much all that to a stop. Like I would still swipe on Tinder occasionally. I think I deleted, I would delete, like, how it is. You delete your dating apps like once a month because you're like, I can't do this anymore. But I just became much less active because in my mind, I was thinking to myself, why try? What's the point? Even like casual sex is like, this isn't even worth it for all this, for casual sex. Because, the girls on dating apps are post-wall roasties, right? Why should I try so hard to go fucking spend $50 to like buy a bunch of drinks for us to get drunk and have like drunk sex with some girl who's a 7 out of 10, which is what most of the girls who I was hooking up with were. Occasionally you get like a girl who's like a little bit hotter, but they never stuck around, why? Maybe it was just a one-time thing. They didn't want to do any more. I don't know, whatever it was. And it was just like, why am I putting in all this work? There's no point. Women are, the way that I saw it, I was like, women are corrupted. The game is corrupted. There's no point in me doing this, really. And it was sad now that I look back on that, because I missed several years of arguably like good years of my life where I was fit, where I was in shape, where I think that I had a lot to offer in terms of just being a cool person that people enjoy being around. Because in the rest of my life, my life was good. Like I would go to the gym. People liked me at the gym. I was fun. I was friendly. I was outgoing. I had lots of friends, or I had lots of friendly acquaintances. And I could have done a lot more with the time that I had. And I regret, looking back now, I regret that. So anyway, this went on for a year or 2 years basically, almost 3 years. Ended up moving to Australia. Ended up starting a business. Ended up making a ton of money there. Same thing. Like would occasionally hook up with girls, but not really. Focus more on making money, put virtually no effort into girls unless I could have sex with them with minimal investment. Just because I didn't want to put in the time, I was like, what's the point? Why am I doing this? I didn't see, the lemon wasn't worth the squeeze, which is what, is a concept that you will hear echoed a lot by guys who discover the red pill and MGTOW and all this stuff. And does it come from a good place? I don't think so. Did it come from a good place for me? I also don't think so. Am I happy that I went through it? Yes, because I appreciate the learnings that I had, and now it makes me value the time that I have left before I have fucking white hair and can't do those things in a socially acceptable setting anymore. That day will come, hopefully. I'll live that long. But anyway, went to Australia, ended up going to Thailand. Same thing, was in Thailand for a long time. Would hook up with girls if it was like, I was living in hostels, right? So like if a girl moved into my room or into my hostel and I could tell there was a connection and she was interested and I knew she was going to be there for 2 or 3 days and I knew we could hook up after a night of going out and drinking or whatever, or even not, fucking wake up in the, like, have a couple of conversations with a girl. I remember one time this Spanish girl came to the hostel, and I speak a little bit of Spanish, right? So she came into our room. She didn't speak any English at all. So she came into our room, and I was just like, "Where are you from?" She's like, "Hablas español?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." I started speaking to her in Spanish a little bit, and she opened up completely. She's cute, 22 years old. I'm this like 34-year-old fucking guy, like not even sitting up, like lying on my computer typing shit. Anyway, I talked to her like twice, and then the morning that she was going to leave, I was like talking to her again, and I wake up early because I'd go do Muay Thai, and I could tell, she went to go sit outside to wait for the bus to pick her up, and I went to go sit down next to her, and I could tell she was just like ready to go. She was like horny or something, or like wanted something from me. And like I kissed her outside like 7:30 in the morning, you know what I mean? And like pulled her inside and like fucked her in the bathroom. No effort at all. Spent like maybe 2 minutes talking to her the entire time that I knew who she was. Stuff like that, right? I would do that, but I wouldn't go out and spend. All right, fine. I would spend hours with a girl if we went out, if I knew it was like a sure thing. You know what I mean? But other than that, no. So anyway, had some experiences like that. Positive experiences, sure, but I could have had so much more. I could have experienced so much more if I had not been so fucking mentally inside my own head and convincing myself that it wasn't worth it. So anyway, after about 6 months in Asia, I ended up going back to California for my dad's birthday. Ended up moving to New York about a month later. I have a friend in New York who's very active. He's got a very active social life, very well known. So I would go hang out with him a lot. And we go to parties all the time, go to social events, tons of girls there. Like, I was like the fresh meat. He's Jewish, I'm Jewish. Like, we go to all these Jewish events for young people. It's like a small community. So like, you bring in some new guy. It's like, who's this fucking new guy? Like, oh, like, who's he? Like, whatever. Anyway, I ended up meeting this guy who's like 22 years old, super into pickup, right? And he would go out, and he was really into pickup, and we kind of talk about it because I used to be into it at this point. Like, I hadn't done it anymore. I'm like deep in my red pill bitterness, and talks to me. I remember he wanted to buy a Rolex. He wanted to buy a fake Rolex, right? Because he did a lot of sales, and he's like, I wore my friend's Rolex during sales calls, and people, their eyes popped out of their head when they saw it. So he wanted to buy like a fake Rolex to like impress people on sales calls. So I remember we were like sitting, waiting for like the shady like Nigerian dude to come back with a selection of fake Rolexes. And we see some like stunner walking towards us, right? Or like walking by us on the street, which you see occasionally in New York. This girl, like high heels, like flowing silk dress, like beautiful curly hair, fucking Gucci sunglasses. Like you see girls walking around like that in New York. Anyway, we're talking, and he like gives me like the nod, like, look at this girl coming towards us. And we see her like strut right past us. And he's like, how about that? And I was like, yeah, but like, I said this to him. I was like, I probably wouldn't enjoy talking to her anyway. And he's like, what? He's like, are you telling me you wouldn't enjoy like talking to a girl like that and flirting with a girl like that and making out with a girl and like fucking a girl like that? You're not going to enjoy that? Really? And I was like, I thought about it. I was like, I probably would enjoy that. Actually, a girl like that. And I imagined myself doing it. I was like, I actually would enjoy that now that I think about it. And that like blew the lid off of my like red pill closed-mindedness in a second. That one offhand comment by this guy. Gotta thank him at some point. But after that, I was like, oh shit, like, what am I missing? Really? Like, all this time, all these years, I was like so closed-minded and so closed off to the fact that I could just talk to these girls and try and have positive experiences with them. Why have I not been doing this? And then ever since then, started getting more into it, started dating again, started like actively pursuing talking to girls. Had some ups and downs for sure. I'm not saying like all of a sudden like every girl wanted to fuck me and like I never got emotionally hurt by anybody ever again. No, of course, shit happens, fine. But definitely had some good experiences that I am happy that I had and don't regret. And looking back on the pain that I experienced, I regret, or the how I closed myself off, I regret that time. And now, I just regret it, really. Now, currently, at this current state of my development, have a new appreciation for pickup. Definitely need to build the habit of going out every night and doing pickup. Still procrastinating on that, but yeah, straight up, like I just got to do it, Anyway, all you red pill people out there, like, give you some advice that none of you asked for. If you're still watching this, expose yourself to the red pill stuff. Definitely some value there, but integrate it into an active dating life. You know, don't let it completely allow you to check out from the game, because it's a shame. You know, like biology, we're wired. Everything we do, we're wired to do for ultimately the goal of having sex and procreating. You know, that's why we work. That's why we work out. Like, oh, you can say like, oh, I don't do that for girls. Like, motherfucker, like biologically speaking, like you do everything to have a better chance to fuck a girl, really, and pass on your genes. You know what I mean? So, yeah, okay, you want to say no? Well, that's not me. I'm like a tough red pill guy. Like, I just live for myself. Like, if I put a bunch of hot girls in a room with you, you're gonna fucking melt like butter, dude. Like, straight up. Like, why not get good at those situations? You know, in those circumstances, is what I think. I don't know. Maybe you agree. Maybe you disagree. I don't know. Anyway, that was my experience. Take it for what it's worth. But tell me, what do you think about it? Are you a red pill bro, and you think I'm a huge fucking homo for like supplicating and like putting women on a pedestal? You can think that if you want. That's fine. Go ahead. I'm cool with that. Are you a woman and you think all this red pill shit is retarded? Or what is your opinion on that, actually? I'd like to know. Anyway, leave me a comment. Yeah, leave me a few questions. Peace.